Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Now, as you guys all probably know, I am a pretty big fan of the band We Are Scientists. I've been following them for about 15 years at this point, and they actually have some 20th anniversary shows coming up here in the UK next month at the time of recording this video, which I actually managed to get tickets for. So I thought, in order to kind of celebrate the fact that it's been 20 years since the band's debut album With Love and Squalor, I thought that I would share with you guys my top 5 tracks from each of their albums. The only album that I won't be discussing in today's video is their 2019 collaboration album called Wasabi. I'm just purely in this video going to focus on their solo work. So Wasabi, I'm going to kick it to the curb for now. Rules, you know, my rules. So we're going to go through each of the albums in chronological order. So of course that means we're going to start with the band's debut album With Love and Squalor from 2005. My top 5 tracks here are Lousy Reputation, The Scene Is Dead, The Great Escape, Inaction, and then I actually couldn't decide between Callbacks and Cash Cow, so I've actually just put them both on my list. So I'm kind of breaking my own rules at the first hurdle here, because I said I'd only pick 5 from each album, but I just could not pick between Callbacks and Cash Cow. I love them both, so there you go, you're getting 6. Moving on to 2006's Crap Attack. Now, because of the type of album this is, in that we only get a few new tracks on this album, and then the rest are covers or acoustic versions of songs from With Love and Squalor, I'm only going to pick 2 from this album, and those 2 songs are, of course, Ram It Home and This Means War. Third album now, which is Brain Thrust Mastery from 2008. My top 5 tracks from this are Impatience, Tonight, That's What Counts, Chicklet, and Lethal Enforcer. Moving on to 2010's Barbara now. This is a pretty big album for me because it was around this time where Barbara came out that I started getting into We Are Scientists and listening to them. So this album sort of holds a bit of a special place in my heart. My top 5 tracks from this album, of course, I got to start with Rules Don't Stop, I Don't Bite, Jack and Ginger, Pittsburgh, and Ambition. TV and Francis in 2014 is next on my list. My favourites from this album, this was a really difficult album for me actually, because this is definitely one of my favourite albums of We Are Scientists. But my top 5, Sprinkles, Courage, Don't Blow It, Overreacting, and What You Do Best. What You Do Best especially is like one of my favourite We Are Scientists tracks of all time. 2016's Helter Seltzer now, Buckle, Hold On, We Need a Word, Want for Nothing, and In My Head are definitely my top 5s from that album. And then swiftly moving on to Megaplex from 2018. No Wait at 5 Leaves is definitely up there in my top 5, along with Notes in a Bottle, Not Another Word. It's kind of interesting. In Helter Seltzer, we were saying we need a word, but now in Megaplex, it's like, no, not another word. I've heard enough from you. Moving on. Next favourite track, Now or Never, and Properties of Perception are other favourites from me as well. And then in 2019, they actually did like a re-release of Megaplex. And in that, we did get a few new tracks. We only got 3 new tracks. I believe it was 3. Please correct me if I'm wrong on this kind of reissue of the album. The rest of it is kind of filled with like remixes and whatnot. But Slow Death from the reissue of Megaplex is definitely my favourite out of the new tracks that we do get. And then with that, we move on to 2021's Huffy. This was a very, very, very difficult album for me because I just love all of the songs so much. But Behaviour Unbecoming is another one of my all-time favourite We Are Scientists tracks, so I had to put that on the list. Fault Lines, Just Education, Handshake Agreement, and Pandemonium. But I do also want to take time to mention Bought Myself a Grave. That song is so unique to anything else that's on the Huffy album, and it's just, I find it a really interesting song, so that very nearly made the list as well. Moving on now to their 80s inspired album with 2023's Lobes. favourites of this is Miracle of 22, Parachute, Operator Error, Settled Accounts, and Less From You. And then we are actually going to go to the band's most recent album at the time of recording this video, which is, of course, Qualifying Miles 2025. And my top tracks at the moment are A Prelude to What You Want Is Gone, Dead Letters, Please Don't Say It, and The Same Mistake. Of course, I kind of feel like with Qualifying Miles that could change, but at the moment, those are the tracks that are sort of definitely my favourites from the album. But again, the album's only been out a couple of months, so I suppose there is some sort of wiggle room in that. It could change. So yeah, I know they also did do a massive reissue of TV and Francis. I think that was for the 10th anniversary of the album, so that would have been 2024 they released that. And because, again, we get, I think, 5 new tracks from that album, I'm going to pick 2, just like I did with Crap Attack. And those 2 from the reissue of TV and Francis that I'm going to pick is Something About You and Let Me Win. And I also know that I haven't mentioned their 2020 demo album, Dump Truck, but I thought that I wouldn't include it in this video just purely because that it's an album just full of demo tracks. I was very much in two minds whether I should include Dump Truck or not, but I decided against it eventually, just purely because the album isn't polished, because it's all demos. It's not like a full polished album, even though they are full songs that we're getting. So I very much hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and click on that subscribe button. What are some of your favourite songs from each album? Let me know in the comments section down below. Thanks a lot for watching once again, and I very much hope to see you in the next video. Bye everyone.